All right, we're going to do 2-5. For 2-5 says, what will f of a negative x be? What does it do to this? What happens to this one? If you change or you multiply the inside by a negative. So inside we're working horizontally. A negative times it is a reflection. Inside works horizontally. Inside, negative is a reflection, so it's going to be reflection over the y-axis. Now what happens to this when you put a minus on the outside? The outside is works vertically, and the negative is a reflection, so this is goes this way, so it reflects over the x-axis. That's what they kind of want you to do. So if this is the parent function, you want to move it down 3. Down 3 is vertically, so it's on the outside. Shifting up and down is to add or subtract something. Outside works like you think it would, so if I want to go down 3, I would subtract 3. If we have y equals f of x, and we want to make a horizontal compression by a factor of 4. Horizontally, so we have to work inside, and compression or stretch is a multiplication, and it works opposite of what we think. So if it was times 4, we would think wider, 4 times wider, but it's 1/4 as wide, so that would be a compression if we just put a 4 in on the x. What do you do to get this to be reflected about the x-axis? If you're going to reflect it about the x-axis, you're doing a vertical thing, so it has to be on the outside of the cube function, and reflections and change the sign, so it's going to be negative x to the third. If that's the parent function, you want to move it up 2 first. Then you would want to do it on the outside. It's just a slide, so it's not times, it's an add, because on the outside it does exactly what you think, up 2. So that would be y equals the square root of x plus 2. Then it says reflected about the x-axis. That's this way. So we'd have to take on the outside, the whole thing on the outside, and change it sign. And then about the y-axis. So that's on the inside. There's nothing in there, and we got to change it. So all we have to do is change the inside. So we have minus parentheses square root of x, but now we're flipping it over the y-axis, which is horizontally, so we're going to put a minus on the x and then plus 2. And that would be that one. Okay, so if we go from f of x, y equals f of x to 2 times f of x, that's on the outside, so that makes it does what it says, and outside works vertically, so it's twice as high. So if it's at 1 and it's 3 high, and we go twice as high, it would be 1/6, which is answer number, this is 33, it was multiple choice, so 1/6 is C. 42. It says, what's the parent function? And what does this do? It's outside, and it's an add or subtract, so it's moving it down 1. What's the parent function on 44? Well, that's the square root function. We have a plus 1 on the inside. Adding moves it inside horizontally, but opposite. So instead of plus 1, it moves it, the plus 1 moves it left 1. Okay, this parent function is the cube root of x. And if we put a minus on that, that's on the outside, so it works vertically. And a negative flips it, so it's a reflection over the x-axis. 63, bunch of parts. If that's the original function, what would be f of x plus 3 on the outside? So that would move everything up 3, so it would be up 3 here, up 3 here, 1, 2, 3, up 3 there, and up 3 there. So that would be f of x plus 3. It says, what would B says, what would be f of x plus 2? F of x plus 2 inside. So it's going to go opposite. What do you think? Horizontally, because it's inside. So instead of moving it plus 2, it moves it back 2. So that would look like 2 back here, 2 back here, 2 back there, 2 back there, and 2 back there. So that would be f of x plus 2. Next one says negative f of x. It's on the outside. So that's going to work vertically. A negative is a flip, and it would take the original one over the x-axis. So this point would go up to there, this one would stay on, this would go down to here, so it's going to just be this thing upside down. So that would be that one. What would be D? F of x plus 1 inside and a minus 2 on the outside. The plus 1 we did already, that moves it, no we didn't, moves it minus 1, so that would move this original one back 1 unit, not 2. Then minus 2 would move it down 2. So this point would get moved minus 1 and down 2. Minus 1, down 2. Minus 1, down 2. Minus 1, down 2. So that's this one. What would happen for f of x, right up here, f of x times 1/2. Outside, not inside. Multiplied, so it's a compress or stretch. Outside, it does what you think, so it's half is vertically tall. So this point, which is 2 away, goes to 1 away. This stays on it. This is 2 above the x-axis. This is 2 above the x-axis. This is on the x-axis, so it'd be this one. What do you do for f of negative x? It's inside, so it works horizontally. It is a negative on there, like a multiply, so that is a flip over the axis. So this point stays, this point goes over here, and these 2 points go over here, and it would look like that. And that would be f of negative x. And then f of 2x. That's inside, Inside works horizontally. It's a multiply by 2, so you would think it'd be twice as wide, but it's inside, so it's half as wide. So this one that's at -4 gets pushed to -2. This one that's on the axis would stay there. This one that's 2 over would get pushed into 1 over. And this one that's 4 over would get pushed to 2. Horizontal compression by a factor of 2. And that's this one, that last one I did. And that's what you're supposed to do on 63.